What's up, Nerfers, and welcome back to my channel, where today I'm taking a look at a 3D printed manual springer called the Ontos, which was sent to me thanks to a viewer named Luke. I will of course put a link down below to the original designer, Impulse Engineering, who first shared this to Reddit about 3 months ago. Now, to use that designer's own words, this blaster is designed by and for the lazy and the poor. By that, they mean this blaster right here is incredibly cheap to make because it uses a third the hardware of similar blasters like the SBL or Alchemist. So if you have access to a 3D printer or you have one yourself, you can actually make this blaster for less than $50 US. Now, that is not to say that this has skimped on features at all. In fact, it has pretty much everything you could want in a primary, and I'll go over that in a moment. But probably the first thing that stands out to me is the look of this thing. Compared to pretty much every other springer in our hobby that has more of an AR style look, this is definitely a lot more sci-fi, making it safer for public events, which I know a lot of the rest of the world still play. Being 3D printed, you can of course customize the colors to whatever you like. This one here in the purple also has quite a nice matte finish, giving it good grip over the entire blaster. The next thing that stands out to me is just how feature-packed this is, but how simple all of those features have been reduced to. For example, if we have a look at the stock, it has 4 different adjustable positions, but it's held in by a tiny little pin. So you simply push that pin in to lock it in place, pull it out if you want to extend the stock, and then push it back in again. With that stock fully removed, taking a look at the back, you have quick spring access by simply turning a rear retention cap. It takes Harrier or Kunlun style springs. I believe the one in mine today is the 1.6 by 300 Harrier spring. And the simple design doesn't stop there. If we come up to the front of the blaster, we have a twist of a front muzzle to remove the barrel entirely. Push it back in and give it a twist, and it is fully locked in place. We've got rifling attached on there too, which uses the exact same mechanism. And I will test this rifling later on in an accuracy test. It is a PCAR, so it has physical rifling inside of it, rather than using any bearings or strings. Moving back from there, even the front grip doesn't require any tools to remove. You can simply remove this plastic piece and slide it off. There is actually a screw underneath if you want more security with it. But again, just a very simple design like the entire rest of the blaster. Now, this next part might be hard to hear on camera, so I'll hold it right next to the microphone on my shirt here. You should hear a little click when I close the breech. And that's because it has a ball detent inside, which keeps the breech closed when it's primed and pointing up in the air. So when you're running around out in the field, that's not going to slide open on you and cause you to chamber a second dart. Additionally, this blaster has a track-based bearing prime, which is a more affordable version of having linear bearings, for example. It doesn't run along the barrel, so it doesn't scratch that up like some other blasters do, and it does cut down on the scraping sound that 3D printed blasters usually have. And you can also very easily deprime the blaster by pulling in the trigger and letting it go forwards. Talon magazines insert very easily into the flared magwell of this blaster. Inside the breech, the Ontos has a skinny pusher, so that extended mag release, which you can hit with your middle finger, allows you to gravity drop the mag at any time for one-handed reloads or even John Wick flick tricks like this. Now, a bit of a departure from the sci-fi look of the entire rest of the blaster. The grip is very AR inspired, very comfy to hold, nice and smooth in the hand, and combined with the light weight of the Ontos overall, can very easily keep it up to your eye even one-handed while carrying a flag. I would never get tired carrying this thing. You'd have it up to your eye, ready for any enemy that presents themselves. Speaking of keeping it up to your eye, we have a very special Picatinny rail up top here. It does have a forward tilted angle to it, allowing you to zero your sights for longer ranges much easier. Now, from the outside, the Ontos is an absolutely feature-packed blaster, but it does all those features in very simple and clean ways. But how does it perform in terms of testing? Let's go see how it does over the chronograph, and then I'll end off with an accuracy test. Okay guys, for the chrono test today, I'm using 1 gram worker bamboo darts, so pretty standard in the Nerf hobby. I would also like to mention that because this can take any of the Kunlun or Harrier springs, this is just going to be one setup you could possibly have with it. You can go weaker or stronger springs than this one. Quite a light prime. I'm going to guess around 250 FPS. 284, 287, 279, 298, 302, I wasn't expecting that high, 288, 298, 296, 290, 272, 307, 301, 309, 300, 297, that's all 15 shots. I was not expecting it to hit that high given how light this prime is, but the track-based bearings would help make that feel a bit smoother and lighter. Over the chrono with a 1.6 by 300mm Harrier spring, Ontos is hitting an average of 293 feet per second with a very respectable standard deviation of 10. This was of course with the provided plastic rifling attached, which would be reducing the velocity a little bit more than bearing rifling would, for example. But sticking with that plastic rifling, it's now time for the accuracy test. Okay guys, for our standard accuracy test, I've got a 1 meter diameter round target, which I'll be shooting at from 30 meters or 100 feet away. I've now swapped from the 1 gram worker bamboos to 1.3 gram saber heavy darts because they are the most accurate dart that I've tested to date. And I'm just going to rest the blaster on this sandbag sitting on top of a water-filled drum. Let's see how it does with the included picar. Oh, that's pretty centered. And I don't have to aim up pretty high either because we've got that tilted angled Picatinny rail. Usually picars aren't all that flash, but this one's doing all right. You can, of course, put any rifling you like on this barrel. If you really wanted to, you could put a saber V-car on there, which is the most expensive thing on the market. But I think it goes against the purpose of this blaster being the cheapest 3D print available. I'm getting pretty damn good accuracy with it anyway. If I had to guess, probably about a 30 centimeter spread. Which is very acceptable. That shot went a little more to the right. But we'll be able to see when we get home to the computer. That's all 15 shots. Let's take it inside and see how that grouping was. From a distance of 30 meters or 100 feet, Ontos with the plastic rifling shot a grouping around 35 centimeters in size. One of those shots did go further to the right and one went lower, so the rest of the shots were clustered within about a 25 centimeter area or about 10 inches. Quite impressive for such low-tech rifling. Now it's time for some final thoughts on the blaster. Okay guys, I've come straight from the accuracy test to give you my final thoughts in field on the Ontos before I even get home and see those results. The design goal with this blaster was to make something incredibly simple to understand, simple to maintain, and incredibly affordable to make for those who aren't heavily invested in the hobby. For someone with a 3D printer at home, apparently you can make this entire thing minus my $300 scope for around $50 US, and that's because it has about a third the hardware requirements of other blasters on the market. Now don't let that low price point fool you. It is absolutely a rigid and sturdy blaster, and it has every possible feature you could possibly want in a Springer. And those features are done in incredibly simple ways that don't require tools. The only tools you would possibly need is if you ever want to take the blaster apart, 3 screws there, and the halves separate. Overall, I've got to say, I love the look of the blaster. Sci-fi is great for public games, which a lot of the world still plays. Not everyone has the luxury of a private field like I'm testing at today. I also just love that it has an extended mag release, so you can easily swap mags while you're grabbing your second mag ready to put straight in. Find it at the links down below. There is no retailer that I'm aware of that's currently selling the complete blaster. That's kind of against the point of it anyway. It is designed for people who have access to a 3D printer who want a very cheap and affordable blaster to make at home. So I'll put links to printables down below of the original designer. Thanks again, Luke at Defiant Mods, for sending this my way. That's all I have for you guys today. Like, comment, subscribe, and all of that, as this rain's starting to come in now. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.